Greetings everyone and welcome back. Today I'm going to be looking at the new exotic sniper rifle that came with the Taken King, Hereafter. Its description reads, "Huddled at the mountain base we had no choice but to beat our plowshares into swords once more." It does arc damage, which is always nice for PvE, and has 4 rounds in the magazine. Hereafter has a nice balance between impact and rate of fire, making it useful for both PvE and PvP situations. It's not exactly a high impact sniper, but it's not exactly low either. Its first unique perk is called Hereafter. Crouching increases scope zoom and makes it easier to aim under fire. Although this perk isn't anything too special, it's surprisingly useful in some cases, such as on maps like Crossroads, where the extra range is just what you need to snag yourself those kills from across the map. The range boost is quite significant as well, which allows you some wiggle room to sacrifice some of the sniper's base range in favour of other perks that grant more stability. Plus, if you're not too crazy about this perk, this is just one of the default perks and there are still 2 more unique perks, so it doesn't waste any slots. It's just a nice little bonus. The second unique perk is Perfectionist. Magazine is refunded if all shots fired are precision kills. This is very similar to the Black Hammer's original perk, however you can't just hit an enemy's critical spot, you actually have to get a kill in order to get the ammo back. This is definitely much more of a PvE perk, since it's so much easier to hit those 4 headshots without missing. The good thing to note about this perk is that you don't need to land all 4 headshots consecutively. You can get the headshots whenever you want, just as long as you don't miss a single shot in the magazine. You can even switch between weapons, get a kill, and then back to Hereafter, and headshots will still count towards the Perfectionist perk. There's no time limit on kills. And the final unique perk is Blinding Light. Precision kills have the chance to cause a bright flash that can blind nearby enemies. This is probably the most useful perk on this weapon, and I found it to be rather useful for team-based PvP modes such as Control. The perk says it has a chance to cause a bright flash, but to me it seems to proc almost every time, although it is worth noting that it's not guaranteed to happen every kill, so just be wary of that. When you get a headshot, you'll be able to see a bubble that swells up before bursting. The actual blinding effect occurs once the bubble has exploded. You'll know if it blinds someone because you'll see a damage tick of 1 damage above everyone that gets hit, and it blinds players for about 3 or 4 seconds before their vision begins to return. In the first column I use Aggressive Ballistics, as it slightly increases impact and grants more predictable recoil, although the trade out is shorter range and more recoil, but as I said you can afford to lose some range due to the increased scope zoom. And in the second column I use Injection Mold for the increased stability and faster handling with reduced range. Snapshot I don't think is really necessary, I'd rather take the increased stability, and I wouldn't recommend Speed Reload as it barely makes any difference in reload time, you hardly even notice it. Another neat little feature of the gun is that the scope highlights enemies when they're inside the red box. For me it's the Blinding Light perk that really makes this weapon, and makes Hereafter my current favourite sniper for PvP, because it really allows me to get some really nice multi-kills. However, I think the only real disadvantage of this gun is that it doesn't have enough impact to spawn kill someone after they've been revived, although I wouldn't consider this a low impact sniper either. It's got kind of this mid ground between high and low impact, which means that this weapon isn't distinctly designed for either PvE or PvP, it can be used for both. Compared to the 1000 Yard Stare, it's only got slightly less impact, which means that it's still viable in PvE situations where DPS matters, such as the raid. Other than that, I've been really liking this gun in PvP. It's just so much fun blinding enemies and picking them off one by one whilst they have no idea what just happened to them. Hereafter also has a rather slim, lightweight design that feels good to control and easy to handle, which I really like, as opposed to some of the beefier snipers such as Black Spindle. In terms of aesthetics, this is a really unique looking weapon, and was actually inspired by recent NASA missions which can be seen in the orange, white and blue colour scheme, as well as the high-tech design of the weapon. Fun fact, during development, Hereafter was originally called Curiosity, which is a reference to the Mars Curiosity rover. It conveys a very sci-fi feel compared to some of the other sniper rifles in Destiny. It looks almost like something out of Star Wars. Not to mention, Hereafter just sounds awesome as well. Overall, Hereafter is just a very cool, useful weapon that rewards headshots. It does have its uses in PvE, but personally I think its strengths lie in PvP with the Blinding Light perk and increased scope zoom. Its only real downfall is the less than ideal impact, but it's not too much of a problem and is still an all around nice weapon that works nicely for both PvE and PvP with a very different and unique design. So let me know what you think of this weapon down in the comments below, and if you have any feedback on the video itself, also do let me know, because weapon reviews aren't exactly my thing, and so I'm still trying to improve. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, positive ratings are greatly appreciated, and I'll talk to you next time.